everybody, AJ Ryzik here, and today another Linux OS review. Today we're taking a look at Ubuntu 15.10. Now, I am changing my focus a bit for this review in that I'm going to focus this review towards the new user, and the reason being is that there's not a whole lot different. Yeah, we've upgraded the various software packages, there's been some bug fixing, that sort of thing, but there's no new features. So, really there's not much to tell to the experienced user out there. So I figured, hey, let's do a review for all the new users out there, people that are new to Linux, maybe want to give Ubuntu a try for the first time. So that's where we're going with this review. In addition, I will follow up this review with a how to install Ubuntu for the new user, as well as a few tutorials on how to do a few things with the desktop, how to extend the functionality, that sort of thing. So, having said all that, let's get this show on the road. So let's start this review out by taking a look at our desktop layout. Now, things are a little bit different here as compared to Windows or Mac. So if you're coming from one of those desktop environments, you're going to have a little bit of a learning curve, but really it's not that hugely different, and once you kind of get the hang of things will go real smooth for you. My 16-year-old stepdaughter, she's been using this on her laptop for a few years now, and loves the way that everything is set up here. So that being said, let's take a look at what we got here. Across the top, we have a simple top bar. Over on the left-hand side, you will see what I would refer to as your focused window. So whichever window is selected and you're working with. So say you got LibreOffice open, LibreOffice would show up in this little left-hand spot. And if you bring your mouse up here, it'll pull up the menu for whatever that particular application is. So in this case, what you're seeing where it says cheese, that is the little webcam viewer you see down here in the corner. So when I hover over it, you see the menu for cheese, which really isn't a whole lot. Say I had my Office suite open, LibreOffice, you would have a lot more menu items right here. So anyway, that's what we got over here on the left hand side. And if you come over to the right hand side, you'll have your system tray, which will be you might have indicators for various applications that you're using. In my case, I've got this little webcam icon right here, which is for the screencaster that I'm using. And then right next to that, we have our internet connection. So you've got all your settings for internet, wireless, wired, all that kind of stuff. You can go and edit your connections from here, that sort of thing. Next to that, we have our character map and text entry, keyboard settings, that sort of thing. This is one of those things where it's probably kind of useful if you are in a position where you may have to frequently write emails or letters or whatever in multiple languages. You can very quickly click on the character map, pull this up, switch between languages, and then switch back very quickly. Right next to that, we have our sound settings, and then next to that we have our date/time, and if you click it, it'll bring down a calendar for you. As well, if you go and do an online integration with let's say with your Google Calendar, your Google Calendar events will show up within this calendar right here as well. And then next to the calendar, if you go and click on that little gear icon, you got a couple of different options there. You can switch between users. So if you've got multiple users on the same computer, you can switch between those. A little bit about the computer, link to Ubuntu help, a link to your system settings. You can log out. There's a suspend button, so you can put the system to sleep, and then the shutdown, so you can turn everything off. Over on the left hand side, we have our quick launch or dock. Much like Mac has one across the bottom, we've got one over on the left hand side. Unfortunately, you cannot move it around. So, if you wanted it down on the bottom, you're kind of out of luck. But there is an option to go and auto hide it if you wish to do that. Anyway, so you got the dock over here on the left hand side. You can click on an item to launch it. Like right there, I clicked on Firefox, boom, it's open. And you can see there's a couple applications here that have little arrows next to them. That's because that application is currently open. Like right down here, I've got the Cheese webcam viewer. You can see over on the dock, I've got the little arrow next to Cheese webcam. Up here at the top, this little icon that's got the Ubuntu logo in it, it is a search for you. So you can either click on it, or you can use the Windows/super key and open it like that, and you can do a search from here. Now you can just do a general search, or down across the bottom you can specify that you want just applications, or just files, just videos, that sort of thing. You also have some filter options here so that you can filter your searches. But myself, when I'm using the dash, I mainly use it for pulling up applications, going to whatever application I want to open up. So let's say I wanted to open LibreOffice. I can start typing away Libre, and boom, it starts pulling up the entire LibreOffice suite. Well, probably the next thing to do is take a look at the pre-installed software. I think for most people, everything that you're going to need is already installed. Myself, for doing this video, I had to install the screen recorder, but other than that, everything that I needed was already installed. You've got an Office suite, you got web browsers, all kinds of stuff that's already installed for you. Plus, they've got included the tools for easily installing more software that is going to be free and usually open source. So let's take a look. We'll go to the dash again, and we'll go to applications, and let's just take a look at everything that we've got pre-installed here. Additional drivers that will allow you to go and install proprietary drivers for, say, your graphics card. So maybe you've got a NVIDIA graphics card installed on your system. It'll allow you to switch from the open source driver to the proprietary driver. Especially if you're doing some gaming, you will get some better 3D performance out of those proprietary drivers. So that's a tool easily allows you to make those changes. We got a little solitaire for some gaming time. Quick link to Amazon. Parents allows you to tweak a little bit of your appearance settings, and I'll talk a little bit about those kind of settings later on in the video. We've got an archive manager, a backup tool, some settings for our Bluetooth, Zero disk burner for burning CDs, DVDs, that sort of thing. We got our web browser, calculator, character map, Cheese webcam viewer, which is what you see down here in the corner, color settings, a contact manager, desktop sharing settings, details, just kind of quick details about your system, how many gigs of RAM, disk size, processor, that kind of thing. Gnome disk, which is a neat little utility that shows you, all of the hard drives that are installed on your system, as well as USB drives, SD card drives, all that kind of stuff. Disk usage analyzer, I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Display settings. This will be useful for you if you are running multiple monitors, or say you're on a laptop and occasionally are going to connect an external monitor. It'll allow you to tweak the settings. Do you want to mirror the two displays, or do you want one display to the left, to the right, above, below, various settings like that. Then we've got Evine, which is our document viewer, Empathy, Internet Messenger utility, Nautilus File Manager for moving files around to various folders, opening files, that sort of thing. Firefox is our web browser. The font viewer allows you to look at the various fonts that are pre-installed. quick link to the help. We've got our image viewer. Kazam is the name of the well, I just can't think today. The screencasting tool that I added. We've got our keyboard settings, language support. We've got the LibreOffice Office Suite. And if you are coming from Windows and are used to using Microsoft Office, LibreOffice basically for free allows you most of the tools that you would find with Microsoft Office. I actually have a few reviews of the recent releases of LibreOffice on my YouTube channel, so definitely check those out if you're unfamiliar with LibreOffice. Got a couple more games here: Mahjong, mouse and touchpad settings, network settings, where am I? Online account settings for going and setting up integration with your online accounts, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Password management, some file sharing settings, power management, power stats, printer settings, Rhythmbox music player, excellent music player, screenshot tool, so if you want to take a screenshot, got a neat little integrated tool for doing that. Security privacy settings, Shotwell Photo Manager. It's a very basic photo manager, but also at the same time very easy to use. So basically, if you just want something that's going to easily allow you to share photos, do some very simple editing, that sort of thing, great photo manager for you. All right, Simple Scan is basically utility for scanner, that sort of thing. We've got our software updater. Click that, and boom, all of your software gets updated for you. We've got software settings and update settings, sound utility. This is all of our startup applications. These are applications, like it says, that automatically start when we start up our computer. You can add them, you can tweak a few settings, that sort of thing. Startup Disk Creator. So if you want to go and create an installation media for essentially any of the Ubuntu derivatives or Ubuntu itself, you can do that with this tool right here. Sudoku for a little more gaming. Our system log. Thunderbird is our email client. Text settings. We've got a simple text editor. Terminal, which if you're not familiar with the terminal, it allows you access to the command line. A little bit of testing stuff right there. System settings, which I'll talk about later. Our system monitor, which will allow you to monitor how much RAM is being used, how much disk space is being used, that sort of thing. Time and date settings. Transmission is a BitTorrent client, so if you want to download torrent files, Transmission is your go-to tool. Ubuntu has its own software center, so that you can easily go and install quite a variety of software. I kind of have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the software center. I think it is a great tool for the new user and allows you to read some descriptions of various pieces of software. It's organized and that sort of thing. However, for the more advanced user, it ends up becoming a bit of a pain in the butt. But like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Some universal access settings, the various user accounts that are installed on this particular computer, another link to our terminal, the video tool, which is Gnome Videos, pretty good video tool. Personally, I like VLC. I think that VLC plays everything, no issue with formats and that sort of thing. So VLC is my go-to video player, but Gnome Videos, which is what you got here, is not a bad player. If you have a digital tablet attached, you've got some tablet settings right there, and that pretty much covers everything. So there's a few applications that I kind of mentioned. I want to talk a little bit more about in detail. So let's move on to that. So let's click on the little icon over here for the Ubuntu Software Center, and we'll take a look at that. And so here we go. This is what the Software Center looks like. And you can see you've got a list of categories over on the left hand side. Some new things that are listed right here in this section. And then if you scroll down a bit, you can see some top rated applications. As far as installing stuff, I mean, it's super easy to do. You know, I was talking about how I like VLC as a media player, so click on VLC, and it's got a little description of VLC. And if you scroll down, you see you've got some optional add-ons. And when I'm installing VLC, I usually install all of the options there. So we'll go and we'll click all of those. And scrolling down a little farther, you can see some reviews about VLC, and then some recommended, not necessarily recommended, but you know, other people installed XXX when they installed VLC. So anyway, I selected those optional add-ons, and then you can come up here, click the install button, and after a second or so it'll ask you for your password. Put in your password, authenticate, and boom, it installs. It's that easy. Now, like I mentioned, it gets to be a little bit of a pain in the butt for some of the more advanced users out there, in that let's say you've got a whole long list of software that you want to install. So you got that one running, you go to all software, you find the next thing, do an install. If it's got multiple things queued up, it tends to bog down and run into glitches. So like I said, if you're installing one thing here or there, not a bad tool. But you know, like I said, when you get multiple things, it has a tendency to glitch up. Also, if you have something that maybe you're installing a piece of software that has a proprietary code in it, and you know you need to check off on some kind of authorization or form or whatever. I've had quite a few times where the Software Center locks up on me and glitches and freezes and that sort of thing when you've got those kinds of things going on. So those are the kind of issues that I have with the Software Center. Now, personally, let me go and pull it up here. Synaptic Package Manager is my preferred way to install software in Ubuntu. It's not as pretty to look at. It's basically, let me go and pull up the view here. You know, it's basically just a listing of all the software, and you got various tools for you know, customizing how you're looking things up and that sort of thing. And there's some more advanced tools there for the more advanced user. So it's not as pretty, but at least for me, it's more functional. However, for the new user, I think the Software Center is a great tool from the standpoint that you're probably not familiar with a lot of those software packages out there, and the descriptions and that sort of thing, the reviews, they're going to be good for you. Let's take a look at our system settings here, and a lot of this we talked a little bit about as we were going through all the applications and whatnot, and multiple ways that you can fire up system settings. You can open it from the little gear icon like I just did. Over on the launcher, you can see there's a system settings gear over there as well, or you can launch it from the dash. So, you know, multiple ways you can open it up. And then from here, you've got access to all these different system settings. You can play around with the appearance a bit, change your background wallpapers from here. If you have multiple themes installed, you can change those here. And I will be doing a follow-up video on how to do little things like installing new themes, new icon themes, that sort of thing. So more to come, I guess you could say, on that kind of stuff. Watch for that future video. But while we're here, wallpapers, it's that easy to switch between the default wallpapers. Oh, let's see what else. A lot of this is self-explanatory. Online accounts. Here's, I was talking a little bit about this, and you can go and add, integration with these various accounts, so that one, like I discussed earlier, if for the Google Calendar thing, you get integration with the Google Calendar. Say Google Drive, you'll be able to do a search of your Google Drive files, that sort of thing. Display, I talked a little bit about that earlier. As you can see, I'm running dual monitors right now, and it allows me to select where I want the launcher. Do I want on a single launcher? Or a single monitor? Which monitor do I want it on? Or do I want the launcher on both monitors? You've got rotation settings, resolution settings. Scaling is good for those of you that have a very high resolution monitor, so you can rescale your icons, that sort of thing. And what other things would I like to touch on here? Printers, you can go and integrate your printers. And if you've got a wireless printer, for the most part, at least the majority of the major brands, you got drivers pre-installed. So like for myself, just come here. I've got a network printer. Give it a second to find it. There it is, popped up. So it's going to go with my printer there. Come down here, I want HP Linux imaging and printing. Forward. It'll find the driver for that. Yes, I have the duplexer installed. Or do I want to give the printer a name? The default name and description is fine for me, and we'll just call the location home office. Apply, and it's all set up now. Would you like to print a test page? No, I don't need to, but boom, it's that easy to set up a printer. And let's see, where else was I? Oh, here, I was talking a little bit about details. Click on that. It's got my computer name, how much memory I've got, my processor, what graphics card and what graphics driver I've got. OS type is a 64-bit, and then how big the disk space is. It's got a list of all of our default applications, and from here you could switch around. Like say for example, under email, Thunderbird's the only thing I've got installed right now, but let's say that I don't like Thunderbird and I like Claws Mail, so I install Claws Mail. I could come here and then switch the default email client to Claws Mail. Removable media settings, it'll you got various options here. CD, audio, what do you want to do? Default applications, that sort of thing. The other thing I wanted to show you is this, under security and privacy, you've got various privacy settings, when to require your password, that sort of thing. But if you go here to search, if you don't want to include online search results, you can go and shut it off from here. So basically, if you just want to search your files and your applications, click that and boom, it turns off all that online stuff, which Personally, if I want to search online, I'm going to open up a browser and run a search through the browser. So for me, I almost always click this, to turn off the online search results. Well, that just about finishes this review up. As I mentioned earlier, there will be more how-tos and how to install Ubuntu and all those kinds of things for new users. If you go to my YouTube channel, and there is a playlist called Introduction to Linux, if you want to go and subscribe to that that either that playlist or subscribe to the entire channel. But anyway, that playlist, that is where I will put those tutorials for the new users. So for the more experienced users out there, if you want to direct your new using friends to that playlist, I would definitely appreciate it, and hopefully it'll help them out as well. But if you got any comments, questions, all that kind of stuff, please leave it down below. I will try to get to it as soon as possible. As always, give us a big old thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. I will take all the comments, questions, all the thumbs ups that I can get. And I hope to see you all on my next video. Thanks a lot.